Exactly, and we thought maybe he'd do it sooner, and would have had he not blown his hamstring as a freshman, as a true freshman. He was in line to be our returner then, and then I don't know, 10 days out or a week out or whatever it was, he blew his hamstring on a kickoff return in practice. Otherwise, he would have been doing it that first year. He's had some soft tissue injuries. He had the knee a year ago. I don't think he's had an opportunity to compete like he is right now for the full extent of his career just because of some injury issues. But his high school tape, he was so stop and go quick, maybe as quick as anybody I've seen in the recruiting efforts, and he's doing that right now. Brandon's a great player. We tried awfully hard to recruit him, and Corey's a great player as well, who plays extremely hard, and I think it'll be one of those matchups that fans will enjoy watching as the game goes along. Two guys that are skilled in their crafts and play the game of football the way you want it played, hard and physical. The biggest improvement is probably his poise in the pocket and his ability to stay in there and work through his progressions. And I tag right on top of that his throwing accuracy right now. He's really delivering a nice ball. Well, very important. You know, the good thing is Sam's been on the road. He's been in hostile conditions, and so that's not going to be anything that's a surprise to him or new to him. We're going to have to handle the noise overall as an offense, and got to make sure we get preparation on that this week in practice. We did improve, and with that improvement, even in a loss, you'll go into the next week, this week, with more confidence as players and more credibility, if you will, as coaches. They knew what the plan was from Sunday to Saturday, and we followed up on it. They followed up on it, and they saw the improvement. And the same will be true this week as we begin preparations tomorrow in earnest for Iowa and what we give to them and what it's going to take to be successful. Jevin Miller made us a better football team, moving from Will to Mike linebacker. And as we spoke after week one, there's things you don't really know about your football team until you start playing other people. And we felt the need to move Jevin to Mike linebacker after that first game. Being the first time out there playing in a game situation, he made a few mistakes, but overall he played very well and certainly was productive. He'll remain there. Alton and Kane will both back him up as a Mike linebacker, but Alton will be featured as our starting Sam linebacker in our base personnel grouping. And Jordan is not quite ready to break into any kind of lineup for us. Well, the front four is a great concern, but the entire defense is a concern for us. Iowa historically, traditionally has been known for being extremely sound, not allowing a lot of points, being where they're supposed to be, not giving up a lot of big plays, and this defense is no different. Coach Parker does a great job, known him for a long time. He's carried over the philosophies and what Coach Parker had started before him. From a guy who's a defensive guy, they're a fun group to watch because they're fundamentals, and as you said, they're stopping us up front. Those front four can control a football game tremendously. As much as Jeremiah George improved as a player from his sophomore year to his junior year, and then again from his junior year to his senior year, Jevin's done that in his leadership capabilities. This is a guy who I think I said this earlier, I don't think I would have ever seen Jevin as a leader. As a guy who would be vocal, as a guy who would step up. And it's not a knock on him. It's just some guys are and some guys aren't. And I wouldn't have seen that in Jevin right now without question. He and Corey Morrissey are the leaders of our defense, and proud of him for stepping up and getting up and laying out some things necessary for us to be successful. They're going to establish the run game. I mean, that's who they are, and I don't have any doubt that that's what we'll see from them. They're figuring things out just like every team in America is figuring things out right now. But yeah, we're going to see things that we've seen in the past, as well as who they are right now from a personality standpoint. I'm not surprised, but Jay, I think he's a heck of a football player. He's a fear to run it. He can and will take off and run, and very athletic, comparable to Sam. I think, in that regard. He can stick the ball in between 2-3 defenders if he has to do that. He's got nice touch on the deep ball, and Iowa certainly is not afraid to throw the deep ball. I think they're taking advantage of his physical abilities, and that shows in what they're doing. Running the ball successful comes down to two primary things. A lot more that goes into it than two primary things, but you got to block well, and runners got to run well. And overall, we're not doing a good enough job of getting that accomplished right now. And you open up holes by either knocking them out of the way or staying on them and doing what I call keeping them busy. A defensive lineman might be in the gap where the ball is actually being run, but if you can keep him busy having to fight you off, you can still run by him. And then ball carriers, they got to make people miss. I've said in here before, there was always a guy that we didn't account for with Troy Davis. He was Troy's guy. And those ball carriers got to account for some people in the run game as well. And overall, we're just not doing a good enough job of that yet. Production of 35 points versus 0 points. And is it all about adjustments? No. A lot of it is execution. A lot of it is long fields, which we've been in both second halves throughout the first two games. We had more momentum in the second game that we did in the first game. We got some first downs. We got across midfield, and then this or that stalled us. And it's part of the progression. It's part of that adversity we talked about earlier that you got to face, and sooner or later people make plays and keep moving the sticks, and you end up in the end zone. 1998, when we ended the streak and made it a rivalry again, I think would probably be right at the top of the list. And I think, growing up, it's just how this state responds to this week in this game. It doesn't matter what part of the state you're in. You're either at the stadium or you're at a party with all eyes on the game. That's a pretty neat deal to feel and be a part of.